When people imagine leadership, they often picture the same thing: a strong voice, a commanding presence, someone standing at the front of the room directing everyone else. That's the traditional image. Because for a long time, leadership was associated with visibility, with authority, with being the loudest voice in a conversation. But the workplace rebels of today are quietly changing that idea. Because not every rule breaker is loud. Some of the most influential leaders don't dominate the room. They observe first. They speak carefully. And when they do act, the impact travels far beyond the moment. They don't chase attention. They build trust. And over time, their quiet consistency reshapes the culture around them. This is your resident office ninja reporting for duty. This is the Office Ninja Podcast. Not all leaders stand at the front of the room. Some lead from the back with quiet conviction and a calm that shifts everything around them. They don't demand attention. They earn respect. They're not the loudest voices in meetings, but somehow, their words echo the longest after everyone else has finished talking. These are the quiet rebels, the silent leaders who bend rules softly but shape culture deeply. And for today, we're putting the spotlight on the leaders who prove that influence doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Because sometimes, the people who change everything are the ones who never needed the spotlight in the first place. First up, what makes a quiet rebel? They're the ones who question the usual way. Not to rebel for rebellion's sake, but to make things better. They challenge norms without chaos, disagree without disrespect, and speak truth to power without shouting. They don't hold titles, but they hold credibility. They lead not because they're assigned to, but because they're aligned to. And that's the thing about quiet rebels. They don't wait to be empowered. They operate from conviction, not position. Here's why titles don't equal influence. Somewhere along the line, we confuse authority with leadership. But look closer. How many people with titles can't inspire? And how many without titles do? Influence is built on consistency, empathy, and integrity, not job grades. Quiet rebels lead through presence, not pressure. They remind us that trust is earned in whispers, not shouts. In every workplace, you'll find them. That mentor who fixes morale one coffee chat at a time. That teammate who stands up when it's unpopular. That HR pro who defends fairness even when no one's looking. That's influence. Real, quiet, lasting influence. How quiet rebels shift culture. They lead by example, not instruction. They make kindness contagious. They create space for others to speak, and most importantly, they humanize the system. You see, every culture needs disruptors, but not all disruptions have to be loud. Quiet rebels break rules gently. They nudge, they question, they inspire change from within. That's the soft power that shapes strong organizations. What leaders can learn from quiet rebels? If you're in a position of authority, here's some questions. Are you creating space for your quiet rebels? Do you reward courage that comes without fanfare? Do you listen to the ones who challenge with respect? Do you amplify those who move the needle quietly? Because true leadership isn't about commanding control. It's about cultivating trust. When you empower the quiet ones, you empower authenticity itself. Of inner peace and power of subtle leadership. In a noisy world obsessed with attention, being quietly impactful is an act of peace. It's proof that you don't have to shout to be heard, that stillness can be strength, and that the calmest people in the room often carry the deepest influence. Quiet rebels remind us you don't need a title to make a difference. You just need to show up, grounded, clear, and brave enough to do what's right. Here's the summary and key takeaways for today's episode. First, quiet rebels lead through influence, not authority. Second, their power lies in authenticity, consistency, and calm courage. Number 3, titles may command compliance, but influence inspires trust. Fourth, culture shifts when people lead from where they stand. And lastly, the loudest changes sometimes come from the quietest of hearts. So here's your challenge, Ninja. Think of one person at work who's quietly making things better and tell them you see it. And if that quiet rebel is you, keep going. The world needs more leaders who move softly but leave a deep mark. If this episode spoke to your inner quiet rebel, share it with your team or your circle, because sometimes the most radical thing you can do is lead gently. And as always, prioritize your inner peace. See you next Sunday, ninjas.